Okay. All right, so Miss Hubert, how long have you been teaching?
28 or 29 years.
All right, so where'd you go to learn how to teach? Which college did you go to?
Northwest Missouri State University.
Would you recommend that to students like myself who are interested in pursuing teaching?
Yes, because it's known traditionally as a teacher's college.
All right, can you describe some of your funner experiences there? Like what really encouraged you to become a teacher?
Well, I didn't originally go to become a teacher. I went and I got an accounting degree. So I was an accountant I worked in the accounting field for a year and I was bored. So I always considered myself to be a people person and I like to interact with people. So I went back and decided to get a degree in secondary education and a math minor. And so then I ended up with a teaching degree in those two subjects.
All right, so what's the most challenging part of being a teacher?
These days, I would say technology. It can either be a positive or a negative, but with everybody having a cell phone and a Chrome, it's hard to keep kids on track listening to your subject without them being like sidetracked with their technology.
All right, well, now that you've talked about the bad stuff, what's the part that you find most rewarding?
Developing the relationships with the kids, getting them to do what you want them to do, and seeing them learn the material and seeing them become successful.
So I've heard many teachers say that the student influences the teacher just as much as the teacher does the student. Do you feel this is true?
Yes.
Can you give me some examples of experiences that you've had?
Well, if kids like you and you like the kids, you're going to do everything you can to help them understand, and they're going to do everything they can to make you feel successful and do what you want them to in your class. So it's kind of like a two-way street. If you have that relationship, you're both going to work for each other.
All right, so what's the best advice you would give someone who is aspiring to be a teacher?
Don't go into education if you don't like kids, and always be there for the kids. It's not a paycheck. It's a rewarding career if you are there for the right reason.
It sounds like you really love your job.
Yeah.
All right, so now that you've given us some advice, what's the best advice anyone gave you?
Don't sweat the small stuff. Pick your battles.
So that sounds like a good advice just in life as in general. All right, so what, if anything, would you like to see change in our school district?
Boy, that's a tough one. I would like to see students be held a little bit more accountable and not put everything on teachers, because it has to be, the teachers are trying harder than the kids sometimes, and the kids have to want it as much as the teachers do.
I can understand that. So what parts of our school district do you like the most?
I really like our administration in this building because they're there for the teachers, our principals, and they're willing to work with you. And I like that our district always is wanting teachers to improve and further their education, so they send you to conferences to help you see what the new things are that are going on in your field.
So what's the most important thing you've learned while you have been a teacher?
That you should never be satisfied with what you know. You should always want to make yourself better and learn more.
So always strive for greater things.
Right, and don't settle for what you know. Always improve your education. You want to be a constant learner.
So what aspects of education have changed over your time as a teacher?
Parent involvement and technology probably are the two biggest. Like kids these days, like when I went to school, you got in trouble at home a lot if you did something wrong at school. I feel like kids are able to talk their way out of it with parents these days, and parents they always believe their kids and not really what went on. And also the technology aspect, it's hard to fight cell phones all the time.
I feel some kids are really lucky because when as I'm in school, if I get a C, I get in trouble. But some
Right.
kids are failing multiple classes, just like, oh, who cares?
Right, as long as you pass with a D, that's fine.
So what former teacher that you've had really inspired you?
I would say I had two math teachers growing up that really influenced me. One was just a really good basic math teacher, and the other like had the students over once a month for at his house to have like barbecues and they both showed me that if you have good rapport with your students and you know how to teach a subject, you're going to have success, and kids are going to want to do whatever that you want them to do for you.
So from my experiences, the more I can like relate to a teacher and the more I can connect with them, the easier it is for me to learn the subject. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
So what grade levels and various subjects have you taught?
I've taught math 6 through 12. I actually had to teach middle school science one year, 6th grade. Not my forte, but we did some fun things. And I taught computers and business classes for 5 years as well.
All right, so do you have a preferred subject or grade level?
I like the computer subjects, but I also like the upper level math. I like having just juniors and seniors now. I like that better than like 8th and 9th grade math.
Why would you say that you liked the juniors and seniors better than
Because they grow up and they mature and they know how to act in class and they take their class a little more seriously.
That's very understandable. So have you always taught at TJ or
No.
Wilson?
No.
And if not, then where else have you?
I started teaching my first year in Lubbock, Texas. Then I left and got my master's degree. Then I taught 5 years in Kansas City, Missouri. Then I moved and taught 1 year in Illinois. And then we moved and I taught 5 years in St. Joseph, Missouri. And then we moved again and I taught in San Diego, California for 3 years. Then we moved and I taught 2 years in Louisville, Kentucky. Then 2 years in Warrensburg, Missouri. And then I've taught 10 years in Council Bluffs, every school. Like I've taught at TJ, AL, Canesville, and Lewis Central. So.
Wow, why'd you bounce around so much?
My husband's a college basketball coach, so we would always go where
Where the money was?
where the better job for him was, yeah.
All right, thank you for your time. Is there anything else you want to add?
No.
All right, you're good.